Wolter Smit.
Why do a lot of people hate their job? And why do others love their job? You are a fine, and I saw in Paul's happy TEDx audience, so I guess you all love your job. But just think of some friends or acquaintances. Quiz them. You'll hear complaints like long, boring, inefficient meetings, ignored suggestions, bitter departmental turf wars being fought out, a blame culture. Scott Adams, the creator of Dilbert, the comic, has made a living out of portraying all the not-so-niceties of everyday work. Yet there are companies that are fun to work for. So what's the difference? How can you tell? My name is Wolter Smit, and I'm 39 years old, studied physics, proud to be an IT geek, and happen to be an entrepreneur. To be honest, I rolled in it. So 20 years ago, I started a company. It's called TopDesk. We make service management software, but I won't bother you with that. But over time, we have grown to over 450 people working in 7 offices around the world. And that's all nice and well. I'm quite proud of that. But what I'm most proud of is that we got a very high employee satisfaction award several times in a row, meaning that people like to work at my company. They think it's fun. That's cool. We're doing something right. So what's the secret sauce? Well, when you show people around, they almost immediately notice the gadgets we have. You know, pinball machine, table tennis table, football table, Nintendo Wii, whatever. And then you see this flash of light. Ah, wait a minute, I get it. People love these gadgets. So if I, in my company, buy those gadgets, the people will be happy as well, won't they? No. No, you're not getting it. No, it's something else. Let me try to explain. I have a beautiful wife. I have 2 lovely kids, boy and a girl, 4 and 5 years old. And it makes your life really wonderful, you know. But for one thing, if you want to spend a night out with your wife, you need to arrange something. The kids need to be attended that night. So what do? Well, you could call in the services of a babysitter, of course. You know, typically a girl from the neighborhood that is willing to spend the night at your house for a set amount of money, negotiated beforehand. And that's fine. But I'm in a lucky position that I have fine neighbors and a baby alarm, or baby phone for the Dutchies here. So alternatively, I can just walk up to my neighbor's door with the baby alarm, ring. They open up and I ask, hey, can you have the baby alarm tonight? And they say, yeah, sure. Cool, nice, relaxed. No costs for me, no negotiations, easily organized, problem solved. And my neighbors do not immediately expect a reward for their service. They just do me a favor, because they trust that my wife and me will return the favor somewhere in the future in due time, like watering their plants, like taking care of their kids when they're in a traffic jam and picking them up from school, whatever. They think and trust that the favors will balance out in the long run. I can put it more eloquently, we don't try to screw each other, you know? We try to help each other out. You scratch my back, I'll scratch yours. So simple. But this is a very interesting concept, trust. It's more towards a company than you might expect. I think trust is oil in a transaction machine. You see, I think a lot of dysfunctionalities and inefficiencies in companies come from a basic lack of trust, of payback instead of pay forward. Let me give you an example. People join my company, that's good, and I have the habit of 6 months after to throw them into a seminar with me. And what I try to do there is get a feeling of how they perceive my company. And I want to hear the good, of course, but also the bad and the ugly. Tell me all. I can do something with it. Then at some point in time, you'll typically hear a lot of things, but one thing I hear a lot is, well, what I find so amazing is that it's so easy to get help from a coworker. So if I ask something, they immediately give me an answer. And if you don't have a clue, at least they point me into the right direction. And what I notice is that especially people with working experience that join the company find this very refreshing. That's strange. I think that's normal. Apparently, it's a funny thing that someone spends a precious bit of their time helping out a coworker without getting something immediately in return. If you don't have this trust, questions will not be answered, knowledge will not flow. It's inefficient. Trust is oil in a transaction machine. Just another example. The football table. How did this come about? Well, someone thought it was a great idea. I thought he had a football table somewhere in the garage, something. Hey, why don't I bring that thing for Friday evening drinks? And I said, well, great idea, should be fun. And the person reacted, really? Yeah, sure. Why don't you organize it? Now, this is a very not so serious example, of course, but this person will have learned that a suggestion is honored, looked at, and when it's good, it can be done. And later, he will spend his time trying to figure out how other more serious things can be improved. So, nothing is more depressing than if you have ideas how to improve stuff, and it's not being honored simply because they don't trust you. You're being laughed at. Again, trust is oil in a transaction machine. Now, you might say that I'm a green tea drinking, llama hugging world idealist, that the only thing that keeps us from world peace is blind trust in people. Now, it's not that soft. The neighborhood I'm talking about, my neighbor happens to be a trustworthy neighbor, but maybe the other neighbor isn't. In real life, you can't tell. So you have to be cautious. But in a company, there is a higher authority, and that's called a boss. And the boss decides who joins the company. And the same boss has a strong influence on the culture. How do you cooperate? So it's up to a boss to decide, do I want to have a trustful atmosphere? And if so, hang on to it. Well, how do you go about? It's not easy. First, find the right people. Okay, every management book will tell you this, so what's new here? Well, what I'm trying to say is that you have to take it seriously. We do 2 rounds with new candidates. And in the first round, we only look, will this person fit our company? Do they have a spark in their eyes? Are they passionate, so to say? I want to see something. Are they willing to help out other people? Do they take initiative? Trusts and can be trusted. And only if I find that, then they go to the next round, and then we look at skill set. Is this person also competent to do the job at hand? Now this has 2 drawbacks. First, it takes an enormous amount of time. Because 2 rounds, and each round takes 2 of our staff to do it, and each round will take 2 hours. And mind you, we reject a lot of people. But more seriously, the focus on the soft skills does not always correlate to the hard skills we need. So the person we're looking for in hard skills is a rare combination, meaning that we can sometimes very hard fill certain positions. So it hinders our growth. Even if we could grow further, if we can't find the right people, we just don't. We could give in. I've found some very talented people, but not the right soft skills. We still didn't hire them. We think it's so important that we stick to this principle. So first, select the right people for your neighborhood. And second, make sure that they help each other out. Because secondly, if a manager has the right people, then he has to uphold this culture. And normally that's easy, right? People start helping each other out, especially if you pick the right persons. But the hard part comes when someone slips through. What then will happen is that, well, atmosphere will go down. Then it's up to the team lead to say, hey, look, what you're doing doesn't help each other out, right? You're keeping knowledge for yourself, you're not answering questions. It's not making work any more fun, does it? And it usually helps if you got the right people. But sometimes it doesn't. And then I really expect a team lead to say, okay, this doesn't work out. Maybe we should have a, why don't you pursue your career in another organization type of talk. Again, it's up to the boss to uphold the culture. So what I'm trying to say here, dear bosses, do you want a trustful and therefore more efficient organization? Make that choice, find the right people, uphold the culture. And dear employees, ask yourself, in what kind of neighborhood do I want to live? And if you look around and if you find yourself in the wrong neighborhood, do find a better one. And if we all do that, then maybe, eventually, we'll have that world peace. Thank you.